So last week we talked about the materials and methods section, where it was mainly that it has to be written in a way that anybody could replicate the study, meaning that all necessary information is available, and also that it's available in what I called intellectual empathy, that it comes in the order the reader expects it and needs it. And today we're going to talk about the results section, which is not only within scientific papers often the shortest part, but it's also now in this seminar the shortest part. There's not so much to say about, but maybe to point out why it is short. It has to be short because it has to be precise without any interpretation or discussion of the results, but the results must be clear. So for every aim or prediction that you had in the last paragraph of your introduction, there must be a results section. And it should be in the same order again, like it was in the introduction and like it was in the materials and methods section. And already for your structure, you can, before you have the results, when you make the structure of your paper, you should make this clear in the structure that they are following the same order, and also what kind of tables and figures you might want to have in here. So at least from my point of view, it's more important to have clear results that clearly relate to the questions you had than to have many results. Sometimes people, unfortunately, have the tendency when they have data to start analyzing everything, even if they don't have a prediction or hypothesis for this, just because they have the data and they're busy with R. But I don't think this is a scientific proper approach. You should have had your question from your research proposal, how you want to analyze the data, and then present these analyses giving clear answers to the questions you raised in the introduction, and not try to correlate everything with everything and see whether just by chance you find some interesting or some free correlation you want to report. If you bring too many results, especially results that are not related to the questions you're asking in your study, then this is also rather confusing. So what results to bring? Sometimes people have different ways to analyze data, which I think is not a good idea. The best way is when you have your research proposal already in this proposal, you write down, I collect these and this data, and they will be analyzed in this and that way, and not to somehow collect some data and then afterwards try to analyze it in all possible ways in R until you find a result that's in support of your prediction. So the aim of the results section is not to fish for correlations or for results that suit you, but to analyze the data in the best possible way. And it also means when you have different data sets, to use the data of the highest quality. So the aim is not to analyze it in a way that you find your prediction, but to analyze the best data you have in the best statistical way to come to an independent test of your predictions. If you have descriptive results, and this is often the case in ecological studies, then they should normally be at the beginning of the results section. For example, if it's not in the materials and methods section yet, for example, if you have a variation in weather conditions, the rainfall parameters, or food availability, or the number of individuals caught over the season, then these descriptive results are often best presented at the very beginning, because they are bringing the general picture in which your study took place, and then to bring the results depending on the predictions that you had. Very important, and like I said already repeatedly, there should be the same order for the results as for the predictions, and the same order should also occur in the methods and in the discussion of the results. Very importantly, and I mean, this is again the same thing, it must be easy for the reader to find in the results section the results for the prediction that you outlined in the introduction. So if in the introduction you have an aim or prediction, for example, you predict I don't know, yellow European pond turtles have a higher paternity than less yellow ones, and the reader should easily find the results for this prediction in the results section without having to read everything and search for it. And this, depending when your results are very short, this can be simply by the order of the results. If your results section is longer, if it's a bigger study, then using subheadings can be very good for this to lead the reader to the specific results. Important in the results, there should be no discussion. So that you should not say what it means. It should be clear from the predictions you had that this result goes to this prediction, and then the meaning should be clear to the reader and not that you have to say it. Don't discuss the meaning of your results. For this, you have obviously the next section, that is this discussion section. Further, don't use judgmental words like saying this is highly significant, or this is a very important result, or this is a very clear correlation. The reader can judge this by herself. If the reader thinks a correlation of 0.89 is a strong correlation or not, the reader can judge this by himself. Don't tell them what they should think about your results, because this again is a kind of discussion which you can then later bring in the discussion, but not here in the results section. So you don't put any judgmental terms in here. But more important, especially for readers that are interested in statistics, so they can make their own mind how clear these results are, is to report sample sizes, effect sizes, depending on what statistics you use, and the test statistics, so that the reader, the statistically experienced reader, can better interpret the results by himself. So one tip is, especially for the first version of your manuscript, you might want to mark your aims, methods, and results always in the same color. So if you have aim 1 in blue, the methods to aim 1 in blue, and the results of aim 1 in blue, then for aim 2 you use black, and for aim 3 red. And if you then find the French flag both in the introduction, in the methods, and in the results section, then you know you did a good job and it's very clear and you can be proud of it. If not, then you have to think about, why do you present the results now differently? Do you have to change the results section? Or maybe did you do a logical mistake in the introduction? In fact, maybe aim 3 should be aim 2, and then you should restructure it here. So, so this part about the results in the scientific manuscript is relatively short. You should be clear. It should be easy to find the results to the predictions, and you should avoid any discussion or meaning of the results in the results section, but keep this for the coming discussion. And the discussion we will discuss in more detail next week. And at the discussion, I will at the seminar next week, it will then be quite long. I will also try to give you some tips about writing in general, how you can write in a better way, and what tricks you can use there.